We're getting to NFL draft crunch time, and there's a million gazillion mock drafts out there. In regards to the Dallas Cowboys, what's something that you're seeing in these mock drafts that you're not buying?
One of Jerry's greatest old words. He doesn't use it that much anymore, Jerry Jones. When you said how many? Millions and zillions?
Millions and gazillions and
he used to say skillions.
Oh.
He made up the word skillions, which is pretty good, isn't it? One of the big things that I think the Cowboys have done really well here, and I don't think this is throwing chum in the water, Jaws, the movie reference, I think they really are open. I think there's a lot of avenues here. If you go back and look at kind of the media vibe, whether it was Cowboys talking at the scouting combine or our conversations with Stephen and Jerry and Big Mike at the NFL owners meeting in Phoenix, it kind of went from, it really looks like they're leaning towards a cornerback.
Yeah.
And then it went to, they got a cornerback.
Yeah.
In trade, in Gilmore's, they're leaning towards wide receiver. Well, they have Cooks
right.
at wide receiver in trade. Then came Jerry mentioning at the Arizona meetings, Mr. Mike, we could get us a starting guard in this draft. Well, that would be at pick number 26. So that's three possibilities. The tight end thing will not go away.
Yep.
And everybody thinks it. And if it's Notre Dame's Michael Mayer and they have him rated with a first-round grade, and I bet you they do, and he's sitting there at 26, that's fine. Even though we continue to wonder, what are we missing about the legend of Peyton Hendershot and Jake Ferguson? Or, so we don't have to use so many words, Fergushot.
Yep.
Get it?
I like it.
Yeah, you can use
like the celebrity. I love it.
So they've opened themselves up, and I think, by the way, I think cornerback is back in play, especially in the second round. So that might be the best thing the Cowboys have done in this draft, whether they're kind of just throwing up smoke screens, I don't think that's what it is, or really considering we don't need a position, so we can take a player.
Well, that was a perfect segue for me, Mike. Teams are really high on tight ends in this NFL draft class. You know, there's some positions that are looking really good, and tight end is one of them. Do you think that's fair or unfair?
Tight end, it's a loaded tight end draft. And I think you can go 10 deep with guys that have accomplishments.
Yeah.
Big school and small school, and Michael Mayer at Notre Dame, obviously a big school as it gets. Freakish athletes like Darnell Washington, who's 6'7", 280, and our friend Dane Brugler at The Athletic says he's the most lean, 280-pound football player he's ever seen.
Dang.
So on and on and on we go. Here's what I've been told by somebody outside the Cowboys, but in the NFL. The Cowboys are looking for their Kelsey. Now,
who is it?
Well, Mayer, type-wise, if you're looking for traits and types, Mayer's not a Kelsey, he's more of a Witten, or maybe a Gronk. Dalton Kincaid, he could be more of a Kelsey. And of course, I know that the cynic's going to respond, well, everybody's looking for their Kelsey,
right.
and that much is true. But the Cowboys already have good tight ends on the roster, and kids, and are looking for one more. They're going to draft a tight end somewhere in this selection process.
Philadelphia Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts got paid, which of course brings up the question about quarterback Dak Prescott. Is there a lot of urgency for the Cowboys to get this extension done? You know,
this game can be played thanks to what the Eagles did with Hurts. Now you go to Baltimore. You play the same game there.
Yeah.
Does this set some sort of a standard for Lamar Jackson? And this will never stop.
Yeah.
Eventually,
started with Deshaun Watson.
Right.
Yeah.
And eventually this is going to be the Chargers, and eventually this is going to be the Bengals. And you know, in New England, they hope they someday have this quote problem with Mac Jones. In Atlanta, you hope someday you have this issue with Desmond Ridder. But as it relates to Dak Prescott,
yes,
they have lost the race in the sense of, well, now they're almost certainly not going to get Dak to sign for a deal that's less attractive than Jalen Hurts. I don't think.
Okay.
But the race will never stop.
Yeah.
Maybe Dak will beat Herbert. Maybe Dak will beat Burrow.
Right.
It would be really nice, somehow, some way, if the two sides came to a compromise where Dak left a little bit more pie on the table. But having said all that, it's really hard for us to sit here and watch what these guys do every day and then go out on Sundays and, in a very literal sense, risk their life and tell them, why don't you give up some money? You don't need all that money. That's easy for us to say. If that was us, we would be interested in getting that bag.
Absolutely.
And being the next highest paid guy. And Dak Prescott just maybe will be destined to be the highest paid player in NFL history until the next guy comes along the next day.
Okay. Fish, what do you think is more likely? I'm asking you to pull out your crystal ball here for a second. More likely, the Dallas Cowboys trade up in the NFL draft or the Dallas Cowboys trade down in the NFL draft?
Let's look at the price for the trade up and then look what you lose on the trade down. To the trade up first. And now ESPN's Todd McShay is joining the chorus of experts who are saying the Cowboys, I wouldn't rule it out that they move up for Bijan Robinson, obviously the great Texas running back.
Right.
Well, first of all, I wouldn't rule it out is a cop-out. That's, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, that's not really reporting.
Tell us how you really feel, Fish.
I wouldn't rule it. Why can't you turn it, if you really feel that way, why can't you turn it around and say, I would rule it in.
Yeah.
The Cowboys are possibly going to move up for, but nobody says that. I can't rule it out. I can't rule anything out. But the cost of moving from 26 to 9, get a load of this, using the Mike McCoy trade value chart. Right, Richie Witt? Not the Jimmy Johnson trade value chart. You'll have to do some research on that to understand what I'm saying. A 1, a 2, a 3, and maybe more to move from 26 to 9. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I got to give up a first, a second, and a third round pick and change for a running. Now, I'll do that. You tell me that John Elway is waiting for me at pick number 9. Yeah. I'm doing that. and I'll no disrespect to Dak Prescott, and I'll give you Dak Prescott as the change. You tell me that Aikman, Peyton Manning, John Elway, whomever, is sitting there at 9, I'd trade up for him. But I'm not trading up for a running back. So that's the problem with the trade-up concept. The problem with the trade-back concept, if you trade out of the first round, you lose that 5th round option.
Yeah.
That 5th year option on that player, which is gold. It saves you a year from and millions and millions of dollars. You have ownership of that guy's contract for 5 years instead of 4. So if the Cowboys trade up, they're not giving up 3 picks for a running back. If the Cowboys trade back, I don't think they're trading out of the first round.
Makes sense. We saw wide receiver CeeDee Lamb really become that #1 receiver for Dak Prescott last season. This upcoming season, you got Michael Gallup, Brandon Cooks. How do you think Lamb takes that next step forward this year?
The fact that Brandon Cooks is on the other side and will merit respect over there.
Yeah, it's a lot of speed.
Yeah, I don't know what double teams or how exactly teams go about it, but Brandon Cooks' presence will help CeeDee Lamb blossom. Think of the presence last year or that lack thereof.
Yeah.
Noah Brown was not commanding attention over there. Michael Gallup was not doing enough to command much attention. T.Y. Hilton came here late in the year, did not command that kind of attention. Brandon Cooks will do that. All these guys can eat if everybody stays healthy and things go according to plan. This team, since they drafted CeeDee Lamb, has talked a lot about, we're going to have 3 guys who are 1,000-yard receivers.
Right.
It's easier said than done. On paper, maybe 2 guys who are 1,000-yard receivers this year in CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Cooks would be enough.
Yep. Let's talk about Micah Parsons, a generational talent. How do you think that he'll take another step forward in his development this year?
There's a lot of people are talking about they shouldn't draft a defensive end because they have Micah, or they should draft a linebacker so Micah could be freed to play defensive end, and they're looking at it all backwards. Whatever you do, whatever you draft, it doesn't put Micah in a box, in a cage. If you do it right, it frees him.
Yeah,
I don't want
him be him.
Right. I don't want Micah Parsons to just be an edge rusher. How stupid would that be? Then you're denying him the ability to go do all the other things he does. And the other thing you're doing, Bree, you're telling the offense, okay, there he is. He lines up right there every time. Watch film.
It takes a second to find him, but then once you find him.
Right. Whereas the way Dan Quinn did it, especially his rookie year, that quarterback went to the line of scrimmage going, okay, where's that guy? Where's that one guy? You need to keep that. The value of Micah Parsons is in his ability to do it all.